pleasure to present here. I'm Chen Diaofan, one of the two founders of pinetwork. It's actually our first time attending Token2049, although Pi has been a layer 1 blockchain that has been built and developed for more than 6 years. And we took a very different approach to crypto and building for a long time before opening. Actually, we recently went to open network in February, and that was probably when many of you heard about pinetwork. Today, I'm going to talk about something on high level and then scope down, sharing my personal thoughts about the crypto's future and analyzing current industry trends and its challenges, what we should focus on next, and what Pi has done in that regard. To talk about crypto's future, we have to talk about the future of the world. And with the AI breakthrough, it's really hard to dispute that our future will not be an AI-driven one. But while these old advancements in AI bring exciting news, it also creates concerns in our society, not just in Web3, but commonly discussed. For example, the role of human labor. So when AI is so good at producing so much, human labor becomes less relevant in the production process. And yet, human labor has been used as a metric to distribute societal wealth to majority of the people in the society for centuries, ever since industrialization. If labor becomes irrelevant, what will be the metric the society use to distribute our societal wealth? Also, AI will probably create an unprecedented amount of wealth. How can this large amount of wealth be distributed in an equitable and accessible way to ensure human well-being? These are questions that concerns every one of us. And these are the questions our generation needs to figure out very soon. And that's where I think blockchain comes in. For me, the intersection of the two technology, AI and blockchain, goes beyond the typical topics about decentralized computing or decentralized data. These are also important questions and problems to solve as well. But for me, the ultimate.
طيب طبعا يا جماعة الخير يعني أول دقيقتين من كلام فان عادي عم تحكي لك إنه باي بدها توزع ثروات يعني عن طريق البتات الحوكمة اللي كنا نحكي عنها بطريقة عادلة، وإحنا رح نختار هذا الإشي بالثروات الضخمة اللي موجودة. عم تحكي يعني إحنا عم نحكي عن توكن 2049 ما يقارب في حوالي 30,000 مستثمر، يعني مش كلام لا سكريبتات ولا كلام هبيلة. نرجع للموضوع. يعني أنا آسف بس يعني ما تحملتش الحماس اللي موجود وأنا بترجم بالفيديو.
Utility of blockchain is societal distribution and redistribution system. The unprecedented amount of AI production and value created will rely on scalable, accessible, and auditable way of distribution by blockchain. On the other hand, let's analyze what are the current trends of crypto. We have seen flourishing DeFi. We have seen so many innovations in DeFi infrastructure and designs. But the mechanism that is used to be exclusive to people with capital, people with money, or institutions. And people are tired of being left behind, of entering the value capture mechanism of the world in the last batch. They want to participate early, and they want to participate on fair terms. So that's what the flourishing DeFi really demonstrate, the public eagerness of participating in the world's value capture process. Does this sound like a familiar feat to the problem that AI pose? The fact that the DeFi distribute value beyond labor, the reliance on labor. as a metric. And that is why I think blockchain is the scalable solution to deal with the problems AI created. However, there is a big problem currently in crypto. There's no value, no real value to be captured for most of the DeFi mechanisms. There are some, but for most of them, there's no net value increase. There's no additive value creation. These processes are mostly for value extraction. And value extraction means reallocating the same set of wealth in this set of hands to another set of hands in a closed system. From white paper to NFTs, from mini games to memes, the DeFi trains just press down the time and effort it requires to launch a token that is accessible by the public. How to solve that problem? We need to shift from liquidity transaction focus to utility focus, because the real net value increase will only come from real use cases and utilities. And there are generally only two paths to that. One is moving existing production on-chain. Second is creating new productions directly on-chain. For the first, moving existing production on-chain, these are something that a lot of crypto folks, colleagues, are actually working on. Tokenization of different assets, real-world value, real-world assets moving on-chain, stable coins capture the payments process in the old production process. For this path, what Pi has done is solving the first problem that real-world assets move on-chain, which is KYC and identity verification. For real-world assets really moving on-chain, the first problem needs to solve is ownership. Who owns what and who transfers what to another? And we actually developed a native KYC solution that covers almost all geolocations and scalable enough to have already KYC'd and verified identity of 15 million users out of our overall engaged 60 million users. So Pi blockchain on its mainnet is only having KYC people. And this make it ready for any Web3 or financial related services to integrate on top of Pi.
هل أنت مستعد لنسخ الصفقات لدى XM؟
But I want to today focus more on the second. But I want to today focus more on the second path, creating new production on chain. The reason is because existing production moving on chain have a bunch of challenges, including high dependency on external environment, regulation change, incumbents in traditional economy adopting Web3 technology, not to mention that the existing production, if they already existed, the value capture mechanism already occurred off-chain, not through a DeFi way. So that's why I want to encourage and focus on the new productions directly on-chain. And for that, Pi has done a bunch of things. I will pick two to introduce. First, Pi community has created a large social network of over 60 million engaged users. These are not downloads or registrations. They are engaged users. If we're looking at downloads, it's a few hundred million actually from both of our app stores. Why did we create such a social network? It serves multiple purposes for new production creation and real utility. If you're a real product person, you understand the need of users. You need to have real users to test and give you feedback when you're building a product. You need user iteration to tell you whether your product actually solves a problem of human need. And that is the
طبعا يا جماعة ملخص الكلام اللي صار هلا وهي قاعدة عم تحكي لكم إنه بالمختصر 15 مليون شخص اللي وثقوا وقادرين يستعملوا عملاتهم في جميع بقاع الأرض، لأنه هم أخذوها عن طريق KYC اللي كنا نحكي عنه. يعني حضرتك أنت مش ماخذ عملتك من منصة أو من CEX أو DEX، أنت ماخذ عملتك من التعدين اللي أنت أخذتها، النقاط اللي وثقتها وقادر تستخدمها في كل مكان. وهنا قاعدة عم تحكي إنه المؤشرات اللي موجودة عندك رح تحكي لك كيف تبيع منتجك وكيف تزيد التحسين في عرض المنتج، وإيش اللي بيخلي منتجك ينعرض أكتر، وإيش تحسن في مزايا المنتج الخاص فيك. تمام؟ عشان حضرتك تقدر تبيع منتجك بشكل أفضل وعرض أفضل للمنتج. يعني تخيلوا لو وين مفكرين فيك كمستثمر. يعني ما بدك انت واحد تاع السوشيال ميديا او حدا يجي مثلا يحكي لك كيف تعمل الديزاين، او حدا من حاله الذكاء الاصطناعي بينصحك وبيقول لك ايش لازم تعمل عشان تحسن من أدائك. تخيلوا لوين يرعاكم الله. يعني هاي استشارات بيندفع عليها آلاف الدولارات على فكرة، وشركات بتدفع آلاف الدولارات لمصورين ومنتجين حتى يقدروا يستعرضوا المنتج. فأتوقع إشي سفاح لأي حتى مستثمر مبتدئ يعتبر، يعني قادر على فعل هذا الإشي أو متاح له هذا الإشي. نستكمل.
Environment we try to create for Pi so that we create an environment suitable to give rise to potential real products that is, independent of all the hypes. Also, we also have actually embraced the AI revolution. The reason for that is we know AI is going to change the world. And we know that the apps we're using today will be very different. A new batch of apps will replace the current one because of AI. They are either AI generated or AI powered. Since we know that there will be a new batch of AI applications created, why don't we make them created on chain? In my view, there is a very short historical window in which currently the AI infrastructure breakthrough make it possible to have AI applications. At the same time, the AI application layer is still in infancy. That gives us opportunity to get those AI applications directly created on chain. If we miss this window, the AI industry and the world will move on, created their own applications off chain. We have to do the same convincing job in the first pass, convincing them to move on chain. And creating a large social network is a resource collectively created by Pi community. And this is a resource that the world demands because every product, whether it's AI or non-AI, Web 2 or Web 3, they all want user attention and users. So we want to invite AI applications to build on top of Pi so that this layer of AI application actually from day one start on chain. And that also allow the DeFi follow up from that, all this DeFi advanced infrastructure actually being able to capture the value, those new productions exist. The second thing Pi did for AI initiative is we recently released an App Studio. The App Studio is actually a platform Pi released.
اوكي يا جماعة، انا اتوقع انه في مثلا ناس ممكن ما يعرفوا ايش اللي صار. اللي صار يا جماعة الخير انه هم بيحكوا لكم هم عارفين انه التطبيقات اللي يعني الاي اي او الذكاء الاصطناعي بالمستقبل راح يتجهوا للبلوك تشين. فهم ايش راحوا عملوا؟ راحوا عملوا فورا تطبيقات الذكاء الاصطناعي على بلوك تشين، ووفروا هاي الميزة برضه في باي اب ستوديو، وان هم قادرين او اي حدا عنده الذكاء الاصطناعي قادر ينشئ تطبيقه في باي نيتورك على الويب 3 فورا على البلوك تشين. انتوا عارفين يعني كمية التسفيح؟ يعني هم اذا كان في اشي بده يصير بال2030 هم عملوه بال2024 و25 و23. يعني متخيل حضرتك انك انت عم تستخدم بلوك تشين يعني إشي بيحفظ معلوماتك بشكل مشفر، وبتقدر تستخدمه مع ميزات كتير، مع مؤشرات كتير ما تضيفها، وكلياتها قادرة تشتغل. يعني انت مثلا حابب انت كذكاء اصطناعي موجود عندك في تطبيقك، مجرد ما الشخص يدفع لحاله يبلش ينفذ الأوامر، بدل ما يكون في كتير أكواد وسكريبتات تنفذ لك الأوامر وتوجع راسك في هذا الإشي، ويكون عندك خدمة عملاء، ويكون عندك آلية رد، ولكل تاجر لازم يكون في عنده مثلا خدمة عملاء. لا، كلياته عن طريق الذكاء الاصطناعي والبلوك تشين، اللي راح يسيف المعلومات، اللي اصلا بعد فتره بتقدر تصير تعدل من المعلومات اللي موجوده عندك اللي تم الاحتفاظ فيها عن طريق البلوك تشين، وتستخدمها بالتطوير وتحديث وتحسين السلسله تبعتك. يعني كميه رعب حكته بالثلاث دقائق هذولا كفيلين يخلوا ثلاث ارباع اللي موجودين جوا يدخلوا عندهم. عن جد اشي مش طبيعي.
To enable non-technical people being able to create apps, not just creating apps, but deploy apps and being accessed by users. It's a one whole pipeline of product creation. So different from typical vibe coding platforms that still rely on the person have some technical understanding to following the instruction to deploy to servers. In this platform, non-technical person can actually use user interface to deploy those apps onto the servers. So it turns code into products. And beyond that, how can we turn product to business? We provide the access to users of these apps directly in Pi social network. By doing so, we create this pipeline of facilitating using AI to help non-technical people being able to own and run online businesses. And again, that's another model different from the typical labor for wages. That is also another model. Future human beings can rely on AI to produce value, and the value accrued by AI production is in the hands of humans instead of working for wages. Raise a bunch of tokens to a large amount of wealth. And when you're presenting powerfulness is actually creating an incentive distortion that inhibits utility building and innovation. What I mean is, people in crypto have too early and too short access to a large amount of wealth. And when you're presented of an opportunity as a builder, whether you release a meme to raise a bunch of tokens, to raise a bunch of money, versus do the hard work, do the development of a very complex product, may or may not actually being able to fundraise and get your product in the market and also succeed, what would you choose? You would choose the faster turnaround. You would choose to opt into the easy way. But value creation is always harder than value extraction. Value creation relies on product innovation that takes time and takes effort and takes perseverance. And in our industry, if the culture is always facilitating, incentivizing short-term return, little efforts, then who is left to do the hard work? And that's why I'm saying the superpowers of DeFi, of crypto, are currently misaligned to not facilitating utility creation. And these also have other aspects of problems as well, including curse of a resource, having a lot of resources early on, actually not forcing team to optimize resources for success, or talent misdirection, directed a lot of talent of the industry to solve problems like how to trade faster and smarter. So here, we need to not only make DeFi accessible, but also make sure that the powerful tools of DeFi are aligned to create utility. Because utility and real product innovation is the sustainability of crypto. Because cycles will run out, narratives will run out. It's the ultimately.
طيب يا جماعة، خلينا نشرح هيك شرح سريع. هنا بيحكوا لكم يعني احنا رح تكونوا انتم في مكان فيه ثروة، ورح تكون لكم المجال تدخلوا اول ناس انتم يا مستثمرين وتعرضوا منتجاتكم في بيئة ثرية. وهاي البيئة الثرية انتم رح تكونوا اول ناس منشئين فيها، واحنا موفرين لكم ادوات بالذكاء الاصطناعي وانشاء تطبيقاتكم بالذكاء الاصطناعي. وحتى لو كان بدكم تعملوا ميم كوين او بدكم تعملوا اي اشي انتم قادرين على الدخول وتعملوه بسهولة. يعني والتناغم مع ديف او نظام ديف تاع العملات الرقمية اللي هو اقرب يعني للبنوك والى اخره، بانه انتوا تدخلوا جواته. يعني عم بتقولهم انتوا احنا عم نحضر لكم تدخلوا عند مليارديرات من النهاية. عيد يعني اللقطة هاي 5 6 17 مرة وارجع اقرأ الكلام. رح تتأكد انه هي حكت هذا الحكي للآخر.
whether this industry generate any net value or not. And I think the Web3 technology will really have disruption when crypto superpowers is aligned in the right direction for utility creation. For today, actually, at Pi, we're releasing actually a bunch of DeFi tools to millions of users on testnet, including DEX, PyDEX, AMM, and liquidity pools. And this type of DeFi tools is on the testnet for developers to test, and also for millions of users to actually educate themselves about DeFi and improving the overall literacy, financial literacy of a general audience, so that they can better understand those tools, be able to participate. And so we're here, we're building, and we urge the industry peers also join forces to think about utility, to incentivize utility building, so that we can make our industry great. Thank you.
والله يعطيها العافية. طيب يا جماعة الخير، شوفوا ملخص كلامها انه احنا جهزنا لكم البيئة اللي موجودة حاليا عشان تستكملوا يعني او تدخلوا لتجارة، واحنا مجهزين البيئة الكاملة لإلكم ولاستضافتكم. ما عليكم الا تدخلوا وتكونوا متواجدين جوا عشان يكتمل. وراهنت يعني او حكت انه المجتمع جاهز وكلياته تمام، ما ضل غير انتوا تفوتوا والمؤشرات اللي موجودة لحضراتكم كلياتها اللي هي الAMM حكت او والباقي المؤشرات اللي موجودة كلياتها مجمعات سيولة جاهزة لدخول باي نتورك، او هي جاهزة لمساعدتهم. فاحنا قاعدين عم نحكي عن اشي سفاح. وبداية الفيديو حكت عن العالم او اعادة توزيع الثروات، فيعني اتوقع الموضوع صار منهي. شوية ايام بالكتير، هدول اليومين 3 وتبلش تبين الحقيقة اكتر. مش هي بينت خلص، فيش داعي تبين. يعني اتوقع خلص يعني احنا خلص اتوقع انتم هيك صرتوا عارفين اغلبيتكم ايش هي باي نتورك. فالحمد لله وجد الف مبروك، جد الف مبروك عليكم. يعني ما ضل اشي ودمتم سالمين. خربطنا.